Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chan meditation group, that Riverside Chan meditation group. Um, we start off with a vow and a recitation of the four great vows. We'll do that now. Join palms and vow. I vow to deliver innumerable sentient beings. I vow to cut off endless vexations. I vow to master limitless approaches to Dharma. I vow to attain supreme Buddhahood. Again, welcome to you all. This opening that I do with the four great vows is something that is uh, a lodestone or a compass that guides us throughout the day, guides our body, speech, and mind, which we will be talking about. It's something that uh, reminds us that we're practitioners. Also, during my last lecture in Connecticut, I really hit hard on the that there is another version of this that's in the Chan liturgy, and sometimes it's kind of overlooked, which is I vow to deliver innumerable sentient beings of self-nature, and all the way through to all of them mentioning at the very end, adding self-nature. The word self can be a word that is mixed or imputed with an idea of a duality that is something that sees other things or belongs to a category of other selves. And in this way, it begins to view the world in this idea of a duality. When we say self-nature here, it's the exact opposite. It's the self-nature of that everything is mind. Everything is created by mind. I am always repeating it, and it's something that you should always bear in mind, is that even that thought uh, is created by mind. It is born in mind, appears in mind, and created by mind. This is not easy for us to understand simply because we're constantly bombarded with what appears to be external phenomena that gives an idea that there is uh, uh, a separate person, a personality, life, or being, as the Diamond Sutra mentions. And I constantly bombard my own students with that there is no ego, personality, life, or being other than just mind itself. And the idea of self, um, or our self nature, we begin to look at it in a way that we think that the consciousness is ourself. The consciousness, what's thinking all the time, trying to put words together and trying to have an opinion of things and seeing things from this point of view, looking out and going, what is out there? What, who am I looking at? Are you different than me? Are you the same as me? Obviously, we have different bodies, different appearances, different voices, different expression. That can't really be our own self nature. And something that I mentioned and my student Robert caught on to, that anything that moves is an appearance, it's a phenomenon. When we see things in this way and we hold on to this as a platform for us to practice from, then the world begins to become a place that can be explained or understood. The issue about that, though, is that it doesn't really come out the way that we want it to come out. We want it to come out like as if you were running along a dirt road and you fall down and you pick yourself up and you dust yourself off and go, there, I'm clean. But it isn't in that way. This body and the dirt are not different. Even the Bible says ashes to ashes, dust to dust. This is what we say. Our wisdom is even deeper than that. Certainly deeper than all we are is dust in the wind. I think that was like a song about 50 years ago. But everybody thought that was very deep. We're all just dust in the wind. Well, there's something more there, though. Something everlasting. It is this self-nature. Self-nature is what's everlasting. We are not. But it is this part. But we don't really get there. We generally just feel comfortable going, I'm going to sit to meditate. You open your eyes. That was good. I hope they have something good for lunch. Whatever, in these kinds of ways, we immediately forget our self-nature. And we pick up this stolen identity. It is a stolen identity. If you wanted to go around in this way, and the federal mind police stopped you and said, who are you? Who am I indeed? Now I have a global entry card, so I'm very high up there because I can show them my global entry card. That's me. And they said, that's not you. That's a false identity. What do you mean it's a false identity? That only works here. You can't get on the boat with that. You'll never get out of here with that. What's false about it? Because you, as a sentient being in the way that you are non-existent. As a discrete, dependent, originating being, there is no such thing. So it can't be in this way. When we sit to meditate on the cushion, and by the way, listen up good, because this really paid off in the last retreat that I gave, and many people went very deep with this. So this is, although it may appear to be a re-examination of the same stuff, it's a good re-examination, because now it's starting to gel, be put together. So this false identity is that you are trying to create from appearances, from a dream, a false identity. When the true identity, this very mind that you're using, and why would you want to use a different mind, is simply mind. We call it mind because we can't call it nothing. The word nothing in all world languages cannot explain emptiness. This emptiness that's there is an awakening to the recognition that not a single mote of dust is not mine. Not a single mote of dust floats through the air without mine knowing its presence. Now you tell me which supercomputer, quantum computer, could be able to know that. Which quantum computer would know the suffering of a gadfly or a little fly or mosquito. This is far beyond that. So where we're going is we're going to this very, very moment of mind. I cannot do that. And certainly you cannot do that either. And maybe one day your mind would be able to, but it's difficult because we have to divest ourselves of this false identity, this false movement of the mind, this false consciousness. This is not easy. The Dharma, from the treatises to the sutras, to all the lectures, all the great masters, they all talk in this way. They all say the same thing, but for some reason, you really cannot understand that. The reason is because you want your illusory identity to speak for you, to think for you. Now we have to reverse engineer from this viewpoint to look at this identity. From where did it come from? Fa Yong said that the substance of mind is mind. The primary meaning is mind. These are worthy comments for you to hold on to hold up things to see what is real and what is not real. You take a quartz crystal and you hold it in your hand, and you take a pure diamond, internally flawless diamond. You can see the difference. One of them appears to be clear. Actually, it has some fractures in it. Some of us more so than others, but most of us have a few fractures. Occlusions. We have occlusions and cloudiness in them. Things that don't quite let us see as clear as it could. The diamond, no matter what facet that we look through the diamond, we see all the way through perfectly, clearly there. This diamond, the diamond mind, you can take this quartz crystal and see right through it. It doesn't have to be unoccluded for the mind to look through and penetrate through it. The value and the purity is not predicated upon the appearance. Let me repeat that to you. The value and the purity of that is not predicated on the appearance. It's fundamentally pure because it belongs to mind. And if we were to go to sleep tonight and have a dream, and someone was to bestow upon you a diamond, and I really hope someday that will happen to you. You get a diamond in your dream. Can you cash that diamond in? Maybe, depending on what kind of a diamond it is. But this diamond is only appearing in mind. The dream is only appearing in mind. All that you should think of this fleeting world is a bubble in a stream, an illusion, a phantasm, a dream. This is what the power of the Diamond Sutra is, seeing everything as a dream. When you dream at night, it's a dream within a dream within a dream. You who are believing that you are dreaming is and is not the dreamer. The you, let's say Gilbert, he's not the dreamer. He's a dream. And within his dream, there is a dream. And that dream, we have to find and reverse engineer it back. Where did that dream come from? Where did it come from? There's Gilbert. Gilbert's there. Gilbert so-called awakens in the morning and remembers a dream. But he doesn't remember that he's in a dream. What? There's a dream body there. We don't know that. But if we understand it in the right way, we can keep going back, reverse engineering it. It was the first thing Shakyamuni Buddha taught, the 12 nidanas. And his reverse engineering brought us to the first nidana, which is ignorance. Before that, mind was just spread. We look at, for instance, represented by Virachana. Virachana is a primordial Buddha that's always been there. It's there. Somewhere along the way, in this beautiful radiant light of mind, infinite light, how could it not be? There's no end to it. Could we define space as an end of space? If I capture space here, I see that I can't see, but that must be space in my hand. Even if I shake it up, whatever, there's still space there. If I open my hands, where did it go? Where did it come from? Even space comes from mind. We cannot call space space as opposed to matter or phenomena. Space is phenomena. We always wonder about phenomena. We always wonder about where did this phenomena come from? Shakyamuni Buddha told us right from the very beginning. We didn't understand that. But he told us. The very first one was the first nidana of ignorance, the nescient entrenchment of ignorance, which gives rise to a sense of something, where before there was nothing, not even the word nothing, because there was nothing to compare nothing with. I know my words sometimes may sound silly, but it isn't in this way. It is because we are silly. We are a silly illusion that we cannot make hide nor hair of what I'm talking about. It's all right. Be patient. For some of you, all of a sudden, it seems that that thin veneer of ego is starting to open up a little bit, and there's some light there. It is what we're waiting for, but we mess it up. We mess it up so bad when we try to extrapolate from the teachings this radiant light of mind, and then we manufacture it. No, we're like a underdeveloped country that's taken technology and manufacturing something. It's not, the technology is not as good, but it looks like the same thing. And but it really isn't. I was seeing some program, I forgot from what country, but there was a man that was his girlfriend didn't like him because he didn't have a good car. So he actually literally manufactured out of an old Toyota body a Ferrari. or Ferrari-like car. That's not really a Ferrari. It just gives the appearance of a Ferrari. You look underneath it, you'll find this is a knockoff. This is not real. What did you learn from Gilbert today? He says, I'm a knockoff. I'm not real. I'm sorry to tell you that, but you were just a peace of mind, just a peace of mind. Some of you, pretty good mind. Some of you don't even mind. But you have to begin to understand this. If there is to be an awakening, we have to know who the dreamer is. Do you believe that you dream? When you have a dream in the morning, you go, wow, that was the craziest dream I've ever had. You're far from it. A dream dreaming. Awakening, and this is why I emphasize this so much. The Buddha never sleeps. Awakening is to awaken to this moment. The Buddha never sleeps, but the Buddha is always at rest, is always silent, always still. But we take stillness to be, I'm still here. It's not the same kind of stillness. When you wake up in the morning, you're still asleep. You're still in a dream. You look around and you see the world and you say, this is good or that's bad or whatever. If it's a Monday or tomorrow, Tuesday morning, you have to go to work. But you go, at least I got one day knocked off this week for the long weekend. But that's how your mind works. And then you get up out of bed and you believe you're awake. You're not awake. You're just walking like this, like sleepwalking. Hello, good morning. Hello, where's the coffee? You're not awake. I pray, I wish, I hope that something that I say, either now or before or later, will bring you to an awakening. Bring you to a moment where you really can become awake. Then what is this awakening? To realize that everything is created by the mind. So, in order to do that, I have to confiscate your false identity. You have to give me your fake papers. Just put them on the desk. But you're awake. Now, your function in life is twofold. Okay, remember this. Number one, stay awake. Stay awake. Don't fall back into the dream. You're awake. You're awake. Everything you see around you is created by the mind. It's not by accident. It belongs to you. Really? Yeah, it belongs to you. Don't try to get away with this going to a shopping mall. It's not that way that it belongs to you any more than your body, speech, and mind belongs to you. But it does. You own it, whether it's good or bad, whatever's happening, mind set it into motion. The problem with us practicing is that we're always looking in the wrong places for the Buddha. if I think that the Buddha's back here on this altar, woe's me. You have to carry in your heart everywhere you go the Buddha, the Bodhisattvas, the Dharma protectors, and the Buddhas and the Buddhas to be. You take them off that altar. Nevertheless, I still burn incense, offer flowers, offer fruit. But I take that fruit off the altar and the smell of the incense with me to create an environment around me of Pure Land practice. Now I'm free to wander in mind. Now the twisting and twirling of causes and conditions do not blind my way. Each step I take is in the Buddha mind. Each thought that arises is in harmony with the Buddha mind. The words that I speak, those words are delivered from the heart of the Buddha. My actions, I try to keep them in concert with the practice, in concert with demonstrating Buddha mind. In this way, then, you are not trying to practice to become a Buddha. You are like an ambassador of the king or ambassador of a country. The ambassador of the country has to act in a righteous way because they represent the ethics of those that they represent. No one can trust you if you're a thief or you're a braggart or if you wish to harm people or to take something from others. We have to be very careful, mindful of what comes out of our mouth. Is it gossip? Is it attacking the monastics or the Dharma leaders? Then you have to ask, for what purpose am I saying this? If you look carefully at anybody, you'll find something that could be considered to be negative. But if you put it in a false light, magnify it, then it becomes 1,000, 1,000,000 times more venomous. That doesn't belong to the person that you're falsely projecting. It belongs to you. And you will suffer a lot because of that. Because maybe people will turn off that listening to somebody's Dharma. That might help them. It's the ego that brings forth this kind of trashy talk. We should always stay awake. When we stay awake, the ego cannot slip through the back door to try to control you as you're moving, like little handles go. We go this way. Did you hear about this? About this? Oh, what about this? And you have to measure your thinking. Measure before anything. If you do not control your thoughts, you do not control your heart, there is no way you can control your tongue. No way you can control your actions or your face. Have you seen people that have learned to communicate with their face? Sometimes they don't even know it. and they can be like as if they're with you and smiling at you, but it's scary because you can see behind the veneer of that. We have to be good ambassadors. We cannot, if we are displeased, we have to measure it and temper our response for that. But we are not simply have to accept everything that comes in this way, but we put into the present moment what needs to be there to preserve the purity of it rather than allow these things to continue to happen. Now I'm kind of going from the mind part to say how this works in your everyday life. If what I'm telling you doesn't work in your everyday life, what good is it? It's just some Professor Gilbert talking about all of these lofty doctrines and whatever. That's not me. I am a physician. And I'm also the patient, just like Willem McCready. If you are sick, I am sick. When you get well, I will get well. Just like Master Shu Yun, when they asked him, why do you do this? It's so difficult for you. You always seem like swimming upstream against the current. Why is this? Why don't you just rest? It would be very easy, right? My goodness, I could go, you know what? I didn't realize I don't have to study for hours or prepare for hours for a class. I could just rest. But he said, until the last of them, the sentient beings, are delivered, then then I will rest. Otherwise, I will use this body, use this function to demonstrate the Buddha mind. This is what we do. Our difficulty is because since we've attached so much to the idea of consciousness, it's difficult for us to break that. Many of you have in the past studied and currently studying from various sources the Shurangama Sutra. This is a precious sutra, so precious. It spends the first volume telling you what isn't your mind. It is Ananda who found himself on an unclean mat of uh, of a prostitute because the mother of the prostitute wanted Ananda so much, and he did not have the mind power to overcome that. And the Buddha had to save him. I'm shortening the story by hours worth. Had to save him, and then he went back to the Jetta Grove, kind of with his tail between his legs, feeling that he really had no idea how that could be, how he could lose his piety so quickly. He represents us, and he represents how delicate this lotus flower of practice is. It can easily be destroyed. Through the Buddha's compassion and listening and awareness, he was aware that Ananda was failing. So he sent one of his disciples to start reciting a mantra to overcome the spell. It is then the power of the vows of taking refuge in Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, because all of those were used to get him off of that unclean mat and headed back towards the Jeta Grove. The Shringama Sutra is so incredibly precious because then Ananda, he really didn't understand that simply understanding what the Buddha said was not enough. That it could not be simply reading something, but you have to feel it in your heart. It has to go deep down. Every time you read, you have to penetrate the sutras. The first belongs to the consciousness. That's why they talk about sound hearers. And they listen to the Dharma. Sounds very good. But they only are just scratching the surface of it. The next are those that practice without any Dharma, and they can obtain some benefits of Pratika Buddha, but they cannot obtain the deep benefits of following the Buddhas in study. And do not hold the Buddhas as to such high esteem that you believe that you will never be able to reach such lofty climbs as a Buddha. It is why Dao Xin said, if you want to practice, the mind of an ordinary sentient being is superior to the Buddha mind. If one is using the Buddha mind, we don't even understand what that is. How can we really use it? Only we put it on an altar and pray to it. Pray to the Buddha, creating a duality. But when we use this mind, then we see it for what it is. We see an accumulation, an aggregate of the elements, the physical elements, an aggregate of form, sensation, perception, volition, and consciousness. The five aggregates are the five heaps. It's a heap, a steaming pile of aggregates. When we're able to break through that, then the mind is seen in a different way. It's seen through the mind's own eye. When they talk about turning the mind's eye inward, there is a turning of the eye, meaning it's not what we would call right view, like from a different perspective. Like if Gilbert realized that all this time he was talking, he was facing the Buddha altar, and then turned this way and went, I didn't notice I was facing the wrong way. Right view is Buddha mind. Buddha mind is on mere awareness that doesn't have anything attached to it. It is what in the Mahaprajnaparamita Sutras say non-differentiating, non-discriminating mind. Please use these words, non-differentiating, non-discriminating minds in your practice. This talk that I'm giving you today, in some parts, is taking you into the deep, profound mind. And in the other parts, it's showing you how to practice moment to moment. How do we get there? By demonstrating this. By not clinging to the stream. how do we do this? By non-abiding to anything that's arising phenomenally. This is called abiding and non-abiding. Again, another group of words to contemplate. You can't just say, I see, I see, and it doesn't work that way. It was like my father, I mentioned him quite a bit in the last retreat, and he was incredibly wise, and I was an incredibly regular teenager. And my dad would always be dispensing wisdom to me. And he'd say, and you should be thinking about this, and you should not do this. And I would go, I know, Dad, I know. And he would say in Spanish, con el I know, with the I know again. And he says, you know nothing. And it was a bitter pill for me, when your dad tells you you know nothing. Well, now I know a little something about nothing, which means that I know nothing. But in any case, he was right. He was right. This mind that we have, we can't clutter it with garbage or discriminations. When we use the mind of wisdom, it governs body, speech, and mind. It demonstrates Buddha mind. But we have to put down the ego. There's no I know. And in Spanish, it's very interesting because the word I, it can mean you as an individual, but also I, like I think it would be AYE, like I know means, oh, no, not again, like here it comes. And so it is in this way that we see we have to remain awake. Wake up. What happened? Did you ever at a movie? I'm sure this never ever happened to any of you, or watching TV late at night and you fall asleep and you wake up, you know, what did I miss? Oh, you missed the best part. You can't believe it. Do you know what happened then? And this happened, this happened. And you go, I tried to stay awake, but I just fell asleep. And so, and then you find out you missed the whole movie. You were asleep. The whole life went by. Boom. It went by. And then what happens? I, I was asleep for my entire life. I could have been somebody or done something. I did have a few good vacations. But where did the life go to? What happened to it? And just then, when the lights start going out, somebody grabs you and says, that's okay, come on with me. You just get in line. Get in line where? To get back on the ride. You're going to go. Where am I going? Oh, you're going to be surprised, I tell you. That doesn't sound good. Do you want that scenario? That doesn't sound good. What do you mean I'm going to be surprised? Woof, woof. You don't know. Why don't you stay awake? Awareness of the mind is mind itself. The consciousness is what enables the mind to contemplate. It enables the mind to be able to move about this little dream. Yeah, I'm running out of time again. I haven't gone through 3 things on my list yet, and I have 5 pages. I'm going to shift gears a little bit. We may continue this again because it's kind of like much ado about nothing, but I wanted to go over something with you uh, from the retreat. And this is a little bit more detailed, a little more complicated, a little further down the line. We've been talking about the forest tradition master Mahabua and how he was using the analogy of this radiant light to be able to talk about mind and how it works. If you could put the first number one plate up, please. Me calling them plates gives them more credit than they actually deserve. There, these were professionally done. I ordered them out at one of the top-notch, you know, technology factories, Gilco Industries. So, in any way, this is how we see things. We we actually don't see the shadow in the middle, but this light that you see there going out is mind itself. But because we put this idea of an ego, personality, life, or being in front, we cannot see it. But we don't really notice that body like that. But in fact, that's what it is. It is just this way. This is a projection on the mind. And that body is obscuring the projection of mind's own intrinsic nature. It can't see it because you're in the way. But you have tricked the consciousness, you being this false identity person, you've tricked it into believing that that shadow person there is the one that's actually looking at the light. No wonder you can't see anything. You got your big head in the way. So you can't see anything. And you see there's light there, but then you also see these little black lines of traces of obstructions. At this point, if if you're there, you're not a practitioner, even whatever malicious ghost or spirits or anything, they would just pass you by, go forget about him. He's not worth even giving him a problem. They just pass you up because they already mark you like a stamp, returnee. So they know you're going to return and return because there's no chance you going through life like this is you're asleep. You cannot see that there is no body there, that you are in a dream. You can't see through all possessions in this world, much less your own body. So you cannot get anywhere. This is the mind of a non practitioner. Okay, if you can go to the next one. And through the magic of technology, we're going to accelerate the progression of your practice and condense it down from what could be years to just a few seconds. Now, here you see the mind, there's a radiant light there when you're meditating. And please don't try to look for the light. Okay, don't do that. I'm just using this, for purposes of trying to help you understand. And you see the squiggly lines all around. That's you. Now you've been practicing and practicing, and you're looking into the mind. There's no thoughts arising anymore. There's no self, no nothing that's there. And Santha, if for a moment, can you put the one slide up of yours that you had with the money and house and stuff like that? And we're doing this on the fly, so please have some patience with us. Not that one. It was the one with there. Where'd it go? Or I didn't know you had a actual moving visual, but you see, all of these things are kind of going in. They used to be vexations, and now they're starting to slide. And can you run that again? Oh, look at this. I haven't even. So this you could say is the radiant light, and so I was telling I was going to tell Sentha to do something like this, and she's already done it. So that's great. So then you're looking at it, and you're seeing that you saw the house, money, love, whatever go, and it's absorbed in. Everything's absorbed there. Okay, go back to my slide 2 or plate 2. Again, here we're trying to feel this, okay? This is a unified mind. And it's as if you're putting in, covering it with a clear vinyl. And so you put this clear vinyl over everything. You can't see it. And I'm representing that by these squiggly lines, which are now the self, what we call changing from the little I to the big I. So now there's the big self that's superimposed over everything because it doesn't have anything. Now the issues of the house, of love, money, car, whatever, they're now been absorbed by the mind. And you go, wow, this is getting close. So then you look at it, you don't see anything. And it's actually very peaceful and restful, but it's just that your ego has learned not to move, not to be detected. It's like these the super soldiers that can look like a tree, and they're all painted up and they look like a tree. And you look at them, and you can't see that they're there. There's nothing to see here. My goodness, this is enlightenment. It's far from enlightenment. But you think it's there. So you sit there and you park yourself on a park bench and just sit comfortably there, looking at the chirping birds, the clouds, the leaves rustling. Even farts at this stage smell good, but they're only emanating from your dream-like body. You have to get out of this. So we go to the next slide. Now, because you were able to get out of unified mind, you were looking, and this is kind of what Mahabua was talking about. And here, there's just in this radiant light, there's just this slight movement, just the slightest of movement. It's just imagine, I don't have Sentha's wonderful skills, but if I had the skill, I would have this light just illuminating infinitely out. And every once in a while, there would be a little bit of a glitch of these black lines that are there. It's much more subtle than that, but nevertheless, it's something that now we detect there's a movement. If this is truly the mind, we would not be able to check any kind of movement. The mind stillness is not moving in this way. Irregardless of everything happening in the world and whatever's happening, the mind's intrinsic nature is like this without the squiggly lines. But if those squiggly lines show up, then we know this is nescient entrenchment of ignorance. We are now, like in some Disneyland ride, going back all the way, not to the creation, but to the creation of phenomena, the discrimination of mind or differentiation of mind, that all of a sudden something blipped and it's there. This is, I can't call it the dawning of the first nidana, the obscuration of the first nidana, that first movement And because it is not detected, it went under the radar, and then it brings forth more and more obstructions and more of the the uh, the skandha are drawn into this to create this world. And we think, oh, this world. No, my God, don't ever think that the Buddhas really want to live in this world. This is just part of the function. This world is not this way. So we get to the next plate, please. This is not to scale. Imagine mind, infinite, 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 times infinite. And there's this little bubble. That bubble represents all phenomena that is appearing. Oh, not just in your room, not just in your country, the solar system, the universe, but that little bubble holds billions of Buddha worlds, billions upon billions of Buddha worlds. But if it was to scale, actually to scale, it wouldn't even have the appearance in scale of an electron. This is how vast mind is. But we think that this world's so big. My goodness, it takes 14 hours to get to Taiwan. That's a long way. But that little bubble there, it is not the beginning of mind, but it represents the beginning of ignorance. It represents ignorance. It's like a blackhead on the face of the Buddha, whose body is immeasurable. But it's not a real blackhead. It just, Gilbert came along and drew this little blackhead on the face of the Buddha. But such an illusionary character could not harm the Buddha whatsoever. I am the modern day Sheng. But the Buddha's face is not diminished one bit, because all of that's created by mind. When we sit to meditate, it's just mind. Can't you see how wonderful it is, how vast it is, how infinite light it is? And we just want to stop our crappy consciousness from thinking. Even the master that was sitting by the lake on a still night when full moon, and some thief came and took away his robe and bowl, and he said, "What a pity! I could have given him this moon." And I would say, exactly what projection did you want to give him? The one in the lake or the projection in the sky? They are not different. When you start looking deeply into mind, you begin to start tipping over these windmills, not out of disrespect, but as of seeing things through profound wisdom. When it was the master's own um, um, obstructions that made him believe that the moon in the sky representing mind was separate and apart from anything. This is second level teaching. Sounds beautiful, I used to always love to hear presenting that, but then I realized, wait a second, he's really low achieving in terms of this, and seeing how vast mind is. And putting that little dot there, it really is almost an insult to put it to that kind of a scale as to what mind is. Mind, not consciousness. It's different. Where are we at? Okay. I got through what I wanted to do, and I probably only delivered about 3% of what I wanted to talk about today. I do thank Sentha, and she was showing me some of these 5 minutes before we started, so I'm very much appreciative of her. You know, as you begin to practice with your senior students still see you as a master, but then you begin to start walking side by side. And so this is my goal is to walk side by side with each of you. That takes time, sincerity to practice, and a great heart. And so when those things happen, then it all comes together. So I'm very appreciative of that. So again, I didn't get to what I wanted to get to, but yet I got to it. The biggest thing is just stay awake. Okay, I'll take questions now. All right, no questions. Did you? All right, Robert, go ahead.
Uh, Hello, Gilbert. Long time no talk. Uh, the last year and a half, I guess, after the COVID period, uh, a lot has happened. And I do recall prior to the COVID, there was a practice in the forum that we do transcript of the recording, if you recall. I don't know if we still do that, but I just want to share that a lot of us did transcript during that time. And the experience of doing that is so valuable. It is so, so valuable that I'm sure those who did it share the same experience and learn a lot. And a lot of those words that we listened carefully, what was recorded, and we put it in writing. Uh, Somehow, all those little tiny piece of message, it got registered in mind or somewhere. And amazingly, the last year and a half while I was traveling in Asia and 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 not able to follow the meeting, the practice still continues during the daily activities. It just is so unexplainable. Things seems to Everything seems changing. Nothing is nothing is frozen. Things are just constantly changing, and the only thing that seems real. I mean, I don't even know if I can use the word real. Only the self nature deep down somewhere is the only real thing. Everything else is so dusty. It's like ugh, everything is not real. It's like nothing is certain. Things are fleeting. Things are disappearing. Even they comes, even if it appears real right now, but comes tomorrow is gone. Uh, maybe it's the COVID that that a lot of things have happened to me, or maybe to a lot of you, that your loved one has passed away. Many of them. What is in front is not real. But I realize this, nothing is real. It is shocking. It's like nothing is real. I I know you haven't spoke to me a long time. I haven't seen you a long time, but the feeling of clinging is so foolish. We still try to cling. We still try to latch on and not letting go. But not letting go is so foolish. And I know a little piece of reading I read here and there about Diamond Sutra, about the platform sutra. Everything is just like the dust, but the mirror is inside us. We are already the mirror. Why can't we recognize we are the mirror? Mirror. We always cling onto the dust and trying to get rid of the dust. But don't worry, we are not the dust. We are the mirror. Just recognize your true self. But we are so ignorant. It is so difficult to shed the ignorance. The ignorance is so strong, but at least I realize, you're right, stay awake. We and I am so ignorant. Try not to cling on this ignorance, but it keeps coming back. But try to shed it. Don't let the dust bother you. They are not real. We are, I mean, Gilbert, many times 5 years ago, you say, we chop off our head looking for the head. You're right. You already, the head is always there. When you chop it off, you keep looking for the head. Your head is there. You are the head. You have the head. You don't need to look. It's, it's like every one of us, we have the nature, we have the DNA of the Buddha. Don't be ignorant, but be aware. It's just, I guess not until the COVID, we lost so many and so much. I can't, I am, I sometimes have to say, thanks to COVID, I realized this. It is so comical. Thanks to COVID, I finally realized this. We lost so many loved ones. And I have one loved one losing right now, just last night.
Yeah, thank you for your comments.
Thanks for teaching.
5 years ago, when I was first teaching to Robert, I was teaching not to him 5 years ago, but the future Robert, who now you see in the present. It is just this way. I lovingly call him a parrot, but a filial parrot. And like the filial parrot of Guanyin Pusa that remains around. And his sincerity is what brought him to realizations. He's not the highest scholastic but he's well read. But it's showing that a scholastic level can only take you so far, but the heart can take you to the infinite. So I'm very happy, and there's many lectures I give abroad or retreats that I mention you, and I'm hoping that San Francisco will recognize the value of you and allow you to at least start teaching introductory classes there. It would be such a waste for you not to present the Dharma. You're clearly qualified to do that. So thank you very much. It is exactly what I'm trying to do here. And all of these things, they're linked together. And as you begin to link them, your mind will link them for you. And this lecture came as an epiphany upon awakening 2 or 3 days ago. And it wasn't that I wanted to stress the doctrine, but open the hearts. And that's what I'm trying to do with all of this. So it's different. And sometimes we can hang on to these turning phrases that allow us to look into mind. Okay. The big question is you have to look into what is mind. There's no what there. It is just mind. And so when we contemplate mind, we just contemplate what cannot even be called mind, but was there from the very beginning. And you see it differently. So, okay, any other questions or comments? That was a great comment. Idil. And you know, I've been saying your name all week long to practice to do that. And because I only get it half right, sometimes I'll go idle or dial or something. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm learning.
You can call me anything. Thank you. I just wanted to ask if you can elaborate more a little bit. What you said, consciousness is enabling mind to contemplate, and we attach the idea of consciousness. Can you explain it a little bit more?
Say it one more time, because I'm sorry. There's some banging in my kitchen. Excuse me for a second. Give me 1 second. All right, try it again.
So, during your teaching, you said consciousness is enabling mind to contemplate, and we attach the idea of consciousness. Can you explain what you mean by that a little bit more?
Yes, because and I didn't get a chance to go through the comparison of consciousness and mind as much, but we believe consciousness is our self-nature. And that's what the Shurangama Sutra, the very first volume, just totally undermined Ananda's belief that there is this kind of a idea that there's this separate consciousness. It isn't in this way. The consciousness is there. Consciousness itself, when it's viewed, is a projection. But the consciousness of the Buddha mind is just the mere awareness of the mind. And the mere awareness of the mind functions without the idea of an ego, personality, life, or being. That ego, personality, life, and being in the consciousness, it too is a projection. The 5 skandha are a projection, so they're empty. They're like if you were going to put a TV set there to show mind. It'd have to be a big screen one. But if you projected it and it only showed one picture, what good would that be? But it's constantly changing. It's impermanent, like Robert said. It is this heart that we get to, that we see how it is. And so when we see that, then we understand this is not our mind. The mind is that which is aware of the totality of it, the consciousness in that way. I think either Michael or Ian were teaching about, I think Ian was teaching this thing about Yogacara, and in this totality of consciousness, it's mind, but it doesn't have a separate knowing aspect of it. It automatically knows itself. And so this consciousness, you have to disown that consciousness to the extent that that consciousness believes to be separate ego, a separate existence. On the other hand, we claim it as appearing in mind. So we know that it's there, and we know that all of these appearances in mind, consciousness, and the hardest part of consciousness is thinking part. When we say, oh, there's a strawberry there, we can clearly see consciousness. Matter of fact, we start moving towards it. But it isn't in this way. That isn't our true consciousness. That's just an operation of moving towards it, because it has been, the seventh consciousness has been perfumed by the eighth consciousness, the storehouse consciousness, to say, that's a strawberry, eat it, you know. And but it's not real. But because of the machinations of the alaya vijnana, the eighth consciousness, and the seventh consciousness, it appears to be real and appears to be functioning in this way, and it keeps all the plates of existence spinning. But if one is to stop those plates from spinning, stop the consciousness, don't really stop the consciousness, it's still there, but we're not moving it towards anything, not generating any interest, then the whole platform of the sense consciousness, that consciousness which puts it all together, and then finally starts to make opinions and actions through body, speech, and mind, those all become unsupportable and they finish. Then consciousness still remains, but not the consciousness of the seventh consciousness tied to the five skandha or the aggregates. That consciousness is gone, and it then because that was like a virus consciousness. Without that, the consciousness is pure, undefiled, and so it's different. So we have to look at it from a different way. Don't try to define consciousness as a pure and impure consciousness. It, even when it is a defiled consciousness, it still belongs to mind, acting perfectly in accordance with causes and conditions. It's only that because it is still holding on to this perception from the five aggregate that it appears to be a separate consciousness, but it isn't that way. It's just simply mind consciousness, mind's own mind looking at mind and making decisions from mind. The problem is when it's obstructed or diluted, it makes the wrong decisions. It makes the decisions based on some ideal way of saying that it wants to further the ideal interest. Okay.
So can we say that it is it is mind knowing that there's nothing to know about nothing is consciousness, basically?
It doesn't even need to get there. Simply demonstrating that says more than that. So I'm just telling you is that don't save ideal. There's nothing there to be saved but awakened mind that calls itself ideal. Just keep chewing on it. You're very good at this. You have figured out how to contemplate, and so just keep working on this. You're kind of a natural. You've done this before, so just keep at it. And it's got to be like you ever have like a wound on you that had like a scab that was really deep down and you want it to go away, but now it's not bothering you, but you still want to dig it out, get it to the root. And that's what you have to do is you have to just keep pulling to the root. Okay. So you're on the right track. All right. Good question. Anything else? We have still time.
Oh, Master Gilbert.
Okay, Julia. Bye-bye.
It's Arvind.
Do we have another one?
I had a question.
Go ahead.
Is mind just pure awareness? And so question is mind just pure awareness?
There's a flaw in what your question is. You have to discover the flaw before you present the question. Do you see it?
That there is a mind is implied in my statement.
There's not a your awareness. It's mere awareness. Dao Xin, the fourth patriarch, said mere awareness of the mind. Where did you jump on the ox? As I mentioned to you before, we have a saying in Spanish saying that the fly said, the fly on the ox's ear said to the ox, "We are moving," or "We are walking."
Gilbert, I think Arvind said, is it pure awareness?
Pure awareness.
Yeah, pure awareness. That was his
Okay.
question.
All right, maybe I misheard his question. And say your question again. Because you said, I thought he said you're. Okay.
No, pure. Sorry.
Pure.
Pure. Okay, I misunderstood you. I thought you said your awareness.
My apologies.
All right, I apologize for that. So you say your question again.
My question was, is mind just pure awareness?
It's awareness with neither being pure nor impure, neither sacred nor profane. It's just mere awareness. That's what Dao Xin said. He didn't add any enhancing adjectives to it other than just mere. Mere meaning just awareness or thusness of mind. So we don't add a pure to it.
The one follow-up question I had is, why is there no motion in just awareness?
Why is what?
Why is there no motion or no movement in just awareness?
Have you ever had a dream where you've gone somewhere? And in fact, when you woke up, did you go anywhere? Although you thought you were going somewhere, but in fact, you never left your bed. So would you say that there was motion and you moving in your dream. Please contemplate this. Use this as an entry. Okay, just contemplate it. That it's much deeper, and if you ask an intellectual follow-up question, you'll botch the whole thing up. But if you take this to heart, it will open a door for you. Okay. Any other questions? No. Okay. Well, that's it for today. I'm not sure where we'll go next week. I'm sure I'll come up with something. We might continue here, or we might go a different route. So I've got different ideas for lectures in the hopper. But thank you all for coming. Good to see people coming back from where they were going. I've got some people coming back from Taiwan, and some people going to Taiwan for similar reasons. So there's always this stillness and motion. We try to help people in their travels. So I thank you all for being here, and remember to spread the Dharma. Just whatever you can present to other people, don't make them think that this is something scholarly. It's not scholarly whatsoever. It is from the heart, and it is the heartwood of the Buddha's teachings. And so a lot of times people will have negative opinions or say, "Oh, that's too deep," or what. It's not too deep. It's not too deep. If it was too deep, I would have told Robert 5 years ago, "Robert, this is too deep for you." You know, I told Robert, just sweep, 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 and he's been doing that ever since. And he's the proof. It's not too deep. No, and it just takes patience and people with enthusiasm. But most importantly, is how you demonstrate it moment to moment that will bring people to want to know more about the practice through your body, speech, and mind. So thank you, guys. I will see you next week.
Thank you.
Peace and blessings to you.